What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sleeper Colts. I am your host, as always, Cody Felger. The Indianapolis Colts had their second full padded practice today, day 6 of training camp for the Indianapolis Colts here. Another morning practice for Indianapolis, and only a few more practices here for the Colts before they head off to New England starting next week, and then they play their first preseason game next Thursday. So with that being said, guys, this is kind of a little bit of a recap on what happened today. Definitely some interesting things, some things we're seeing, some new things we're seeing. But as far as the injury report goes, Alec remains on that PUP list. A couple players didn't practice again, that being Hunter Wohler, still dealing with that hamstring, and that being Derek Nottie, still dealing with the toe. Sauce Gardner, dealing with an illness, did not practice. We'll kind of see on that. Jalen Carlisle was out for a personal reason, and DJ Giddens is struggling with a hamstring injury right now. Other than that, everybody else was a go today. And we really started to see the Colts uncork a little bit of their passing offense vertically. We haven't seen that a whole lot during the first portion of camp. The Colts had done a lot more of that dink and dunk sort of stuff, but we saw Indy really make a commitment to pushing the ball down the field a lot more, and they had some pretty good success doing so. Daniel Jones was 9 of 11. He had a couple really impressive throws. One that was a touchdown to Josh Downs in a really tight outside window. We saw him do a couple great passes to Will Mallory, a couple passes to Laquan Treadwell, to Ashton Doolin, and Tyler Warren, who made an incredible catch today right over Cam Bynum. So we really got to see Daniel Jones be very efficient with his ball placement today, which is certainly encouraging to see. Daniel Jones was very good at that last year, continues to be really good at placing the football where it needs to be to his receivers. So that was great to see there. And obviously without Sauce Gardner, the Colts able to do that a little bit more, taking shots down the field and things like that. So good to see from that standpoint. As far as the backup quarterback situation goes and that competition, it's been Riley Leonard for the last 2 days that has really gotten the majority and the chunk of the snaps here. But we got to see a little bit more for Anthony Richardson. And unfortunately, Anthony Richardson continues to show why he might be losing snaps. You know, outside of a very nice throw that Anthony Richardson had, he continues to struggle with the snaps. There's now multiple times Anthony Richardson has struggled to corral the snaps, and that just can't happen. You just can't have that. So that's definitely unfortunate there. And I don't know what the deal is with the snap issues, but it's been a reoccurring issue this entire camp. So that kind of stuff can't happen. And especially for Anthony Richardson in a quarterback competition like that, that stuff is absolutely unacceptable. So yeah, definitely unfortunate there. And I saw one of them where he just dropped it, man. And that just, like I said, that stuff can't happen. You can't have that especially if you're competing for a position. You can't have that because you're not going to see the field if you can't hold on to the football. So that definitely was something there for Anthony Richardson. Didn't really make the most of his opportunities today. So we'll see what it holds tomorrow if they go back to Riley Leonard, because Anthony Richardson in his opportunity didn't really do a whole lot to inspire confidence. So we'll have to see on that. We got to see DeForest Buckner for the first time really participate in his first fully padded practice, which was definitely great. The Colts have been very cautious and kind of easing Buckner back into things. He hasn't really participated a whole lot in the fully padded stuff. So good to see that he's taken another step there, which is certainly encouraging for sure. So yeah, that's great to see for DeForest Buckner's standpoint. Seth McGowan continues to impress, especially with DJ Giddens out. McGowan had a couple really, really nice runs today. And it's interesting, Jonathan Taylor, when asked about Seth McGowan, compared him to David Montgomery, who we know is a very good back in his own right. So that definitely was great there. And I really believe that Seth McGowan right now is the favorite for RB2. With DJ Giddens having his struggles and missing today, it just gives Seth McGowan another opportunity to prove to this staff that he belongs on the field when Jonathan Taylor's off of it. So Seth McGowan continues to impress for sure. We saw Lou Anarumo continue to kind of be a little exotic, send some blitzes, do some things, try to get home a little bit. So that kind of, does that tell you anything about how he feels about his cornerback room? I think it does. So that was great. Speaking of the secondary, Cameron Bynum continues to be that signal caller. We heard yesterday that the Colts are trying to do that to take some of the pressure off the rookies to really have to do that. And I think, honestly, it's a great idea. Cam Bynum can run that defense. He can call the plays. He's been in the system for a year. He did that in his time in Minnesota as well. So he's a player that's more than capable of doing that. We see the Colts continue to rotate at linebacker. So I think it's fairly obvious that the two rookies, CJ Allen and Bryce Betcher, are going to have pretty big roles with this team this year. In addition to obviously Akeem Davis-Gaither and potentially, who knows, somebody else that might factor in as well. But okay, we got to see a little bit more of the kicking competition today. We saw a lot of Blake Grupe early. We got to see a little bit more from Spencer Schrader today, and he finished 4 of 6. He missed 2 field goals from 45 and 57 left. That is now 5 misses for Spencer Schrader compared to 0 for Blake Grupe. So in my opinion, continues to cement Blake Grupe as that kicker, as the guy that's the favorite right now. And I think unless Blake Grupe just falls off the wagon here, I really think it's his position to lose at this point. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that. Grupe has not missed yet here, not missed with the Colts, which is just kind of wild in itself there, whether it's in games or whether it's in practice. He's just that type of guy, and he carries that type of swagger. We saw that yesterday. So yeah, that definitely was great news there. A little bit more on how the starting units looked on Tuesday. We had Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Laquan Treadwell, Josh Downs, Ashton Doolin, Tyler Warren, Bernard Ryman, Quentin Nelson, Tanner Bortolini, Matt Gonsalves, Jalen Travis. We've had that entire offensive line the entire camp. And then when you go to the defense, a little bit interesting. You had Latu out there, Grover Stewart, Adi Tamiwa with DeForest Buckner, not technically getting those snaps yet. On the 11 and 11s, Adi Tamiwa Adebaware has been that starter so far at that 3 tech position, which is great news. Jerry Tillery actually got a little bit of look at end today, which was fascinating. At linebacker, he had Akeem Davis-Gaither and CJ Allen, but like I said, Bryce Betcher also factored in and rotated in a bunch today. Justin Woolley and Charvarius Ward were your top 2 corners, and then just as we've seen throughout camp, Cam Taylor-Britt was that other guy on the outside with Sauce Gardner being out, and that seems to be what it'll look like here. If you're going out tomorrow, he'll be that kind of third guy in that outside corner position. He's the next man up there. So that's definitely great news. And then we've seen with Hunter Wohler out, AJ Hulsey's continued to get opportunities there at that strong safety position alongside of Cameron Bynum. So other than that, guys, I think that really does it here for the Indianapolis Colts training camp. Like I said, great practice for Daniel Jones. Seth McGowan looked really good. Laquan Treadwell has some nice plays. We saw some other guys who were making some plays as well. And really just the vertical passing game did really, really good today. A couple guys missing here for different reasons. Colts will have tomorrow off, and then they will be back at it on Thursday evening for their night practice. They will be off again and for a day, and then be back on Saturday and Sunday. And then they will be traveling to New England for their first practice on Tuesday against the Patriots for that joint practice. And then they will have their Thursday preseason game at New England. So that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below in regards to Colts camp here. Day 6, day 2 of full pads. Let me know your thoughts. That'll do it for this one. Thanks so much, guys. And as always, have a good one.